Hello, this is Demonocalypse. Recently, there's been an update to Warframe. What does this update do? Well, it changed the damage for the most part. It added some events that are still going on as I speak, and I'm sure if anyone's noticed that some of their old builds and weapons aren't working as well in Warframe as they used to. Now, this is due to the simplification of the combats of the damage system. Before, in Warframe, there used to be some... Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, possibly 16, I think I miscounted. So 14, 15 different damage types. And, well, to tell you the truth, it wasn't that bad of a system. It just complicated things. They simplified it into a 13 damage type system. However, you'll notice that, for instance, if you take the Flux Rifle, the weapon uses serrated blade damage. Serrated blade damage ignored, well, for the most part, it was supposed to ignore armor. Well, it does ignore armor. It completely ignores armor. And in the new system, while some weapons are good against armor, they don't ignore it. Because armor, instead of actually being applied to the damage done to someone's health, is the person's health. It's their health type, so to say. So, for instance, if in the new system you have impact, puncture, and slash, which was bullet, blade, and impact. That's simple enough. Now it's applied to all weapons that they just have these three types. The Flux Rifle used to use serrated blade, which means that it does pretty much perfect damage against armor. I mean, against people with armor. Now it uses blade damage, which is good against flesh and infested. It adds 50% damage. Well, looks like they actually fixed that. The first iteration, it just did slash damage. Second, it did puncture, impact, and slash. Now it does impact, puncture, and slash, which is a fix for just doing slash damage, which means that it would have been good against flesh and infested, but terrible against robotic. Now, it still has armor values applied to it, which means it's not as good as it used to be. From there... there's only one weapon I've seen that seems to do perfect combined damage. I mean, 20.3, 20.3, 20.3 on the Hind. However, that's with some mods on it. Clear it out. I still gotta get a catalyst for this, and it has 10, 10, 10, which is still fairly good. Which means it's gonna do advantageous damage against shield, armor, flesh, infested, and robotic. It'll be slightly worse against, excuse me. It'll do slightly worse against infested than robotic, but it's still one of the better weapons out there. Of course, I'm still waiting for finding a catalyst somewhere in order to properly upgrade this thing, but it works fairly well all the same. Then you have the secondary elemental effects: cold, electric, heat, and toxin. Actually, what I'm going to do is bring up my second monitor here. There we go. I think this may be a bit small for you guys, so I'm not entirely certain. But it is capturing it in 1080p, so it should be large enough for you guys to read. So impact, puncture, and slash all have their benefits. Infested seems to have the most benefit against impact and puncture, and slash only does a plus 50. I believe it should do a plus 100 to make up for the fact that it's good against impact and puncture, but that's just me. Cold, electric, heat, and toxin. Toxin is the new element that they've given, and it's very hard to find the mods for this. Heat is probably the only one that's universally good because it does plain damage against everything and plus damage against flesh and infested. Flesh is the soft target Grineer. The Grineer that do not have armor in any way, shape, or form. Mostly the Axemen, I believe. Otherwise, everything else has some sort of armor on it. You'll know the different types of health the opponents have by what color their health bar is. The normal health bar is white. The shield health bar is blue, as it always has been. The armor health bar, which means that you have to take the armor statistic into effects, is yellow. And yeah, that's the 3. Yeah. All of them can also do a variety of status effects. Impact is knockdown. Knockback. I believe. It's either knockback or weaken. Always causes a yellow field to appear around the target that's affecting it. This works fairly well. Bleed is something I haven't been able to inflict on any enemies as of yet. I've had it affected on. It happens to me, and basically blood pours out of you and you lose health. It goes straight through your shields as well, so it's a pain in the butt. I've had this happen to me on Grenier, not so much with anyone else. It doesn't seem like any of the enemies currently use cold, electric, heat, or toxin damage. The toxin, of course, would be in the toxic ancient infested, which I haven't actually run into in a while, so maybe they've been taken out. I don't know. I don't think they have. I'm sure they're still in. Then you have the combined elemental effects: blast, corrosive, gas, magnetic, radiation, viral, which happens by combining two different elemental damage types together. So blast is heat and cold, corrosive is electric and toxin, gas is heat and toxin, magnetic is cold and electric, radiation is heat and electric, viral is cold and toxin. And those cause knockback, negative armor, toxic area of effect, it creates a gas cloud, negative max shields, confusion, and negative max health appropriately. The major issue with this is negative armor. Does that mean if they have armor-based health, that gets lowered, or just the damage reduction by the armor gets lowered? That's what I'm thinking anyways. Negative max shield, it's probably... And negative max shields sounds like it's going to take down the maximum effect. It's also very good. Magnetic is also very good against shields. So it's going to be hurting the shields and hurting the maximum number of shields. This is probably more effective against bosses than anything else. Same with viral, which I'm sure would also, negative max health, would also affect their armor values. That's what I'm thinking anyways. Right now, it's a pain in the butt to get the toxin mods, because it's just a pain in the butt. Where was it? Here we go. Contagious spread, infected clip, pathogen rounds, fever strikes, Saren's contagion when you use the ability, and antitoxin is a Warframe mod. I haven't run into the Warframe mod, nor have I run into any of these other ones. In fact, if I go back to the... Give me a second, it's borking out on me. If I go back to the... I'm trying to move my thing here so I can see what's happening. Go to the new codex that they've added. You can even look up the mods that you have. The issue is no click. You can't really see what happens with what. What's the max level you can get with any of this stuff. I believe it just shows you the maximum level of the mod you currently have. Excuse me. Absorb. I have never seen the Absorb mod before. What is that for? Is it for Warframe? It's the Warframe Absorb mod. What the balls does that do? I don't know. And let me just... There we go. And it's not even on the wiki page right now, so I can't tell what it does. No information about it, no nothing. This is good in telling you what mods you've already discovered. It's bad in saying like where you can get anything, because like the Acrobat mod, can't click on it, doesn't give me any information. It'd be nice if this was kind of like the wiki page, which I can have up on my second monitor, and it just tells me what the balls it does. Of course, that doesn't actually happen. Anyways. Now, this is a good base weapon to show you what everything does. So, if I stick a Serration on here, where are you? Level 10 Serration. 105% extra damage. 20.3 extra damage. Works fairly well, and it does that for all my stats. Now you can also just stick on a fire mod and a cold mod, and that will give me blast damage of 91.3 out of the 260s from the cold and the fire. So that's 120 plus damage. So that adds up to 60.9. So that actually almost it doubles my damage and plus a little bit more, which is fantastic. Now, it all depends upon how you order these and how they combine together. Personally, I'd rather have it so that they were still separate, because quite frankly, I had more advantage over my enemies that way. So if I stick an electric round in, a Stormbringer in there, I will have a separate electricity and a separate blast. But if I move the Hellfire down, I'll have heat and magnetic. Magnetic is good against shields. Heat is good against flesh. It's a fairly good combination. Issue being is that I wish I had more control over what was being combined and what wasn't. There should be a rule put into effect that they have to be touching at least in order for this to happen. Because if I hit apply now, I'll still have electric and blast. Fairly good combination myself, but I don't like it that much. So now if I go to my orthos and go to my B configuration, because I don't have anything in there, I'll have 6.8 impact, puncture, and 31.5 slash. If I go back to my A configuration, I'll have 13.5 impact, 34 puncture, and 64 slash, 27 heat, and I wish they would change the colors because they blend in with my fucking Warframe, and 72 magnetic. This is probably the best build I've found for my orthos, in that it can deal with just about everything. Impact is strictly for shields, so magnetic, since it's low, I reinforce it with magnetic, which does a lot of damage to shields. Puncture is good against armor, was it? I can't even remember. Yeah, puncture is good against armor and robotic, and yeah, like this is a good all-around build. Now, some of the other things that were included in
and just give them the basics, you know. I got this.
Advertisements. Fuck you, advertisements. Up yours. I hate it when advertisements do that. Okay. Okay. Some of the other things that were included in the update is the Sestra, a Gatling pistol. It works fairly well, but you need a few fire rate upgrades on it for it to actually shine that well. The biggest pet peeve I have about it is just that the cylinder continues to rotate even when it's on your leg. If you'll just look down there, it continues rotating. I mean, that's not comfortable. Other updates. Well, you got two other new weapons, the whip and the double-barreled shotgun, the Tigress. Can't remember what the whip is called. I'm sure anyone who's picked it up likes it, but it seems to me that it'd be an electric weapon, impact, electric. I'm not sure if it would have any slash or puncture on it though. So it's good against shields, not much else. I would like to pick it up just because I'd like to check the range on it, but that's up to something else. Also, the other thing that they added was the Titan extractors, which are basically tiny mining drones that do the work for you. These things are so fucking useful because now I don't have to grind the fucking Rapido. Well, I still do because it's a 4-hour time limit on the mining of the minerals, and it's kind of random what you got. I've gotten a lot of ferrite and a lot of rubido out of the guy that I've had on Earth here. As well, in the future, they're planning on having it so that as you gain mastery levels, you'll be able to deploy more than one Titan extractor at once. Right now, they're trying to make sure the code is solid before they actually release it to the public, but it should be out before the next major update, before we get to 12. That's at least what I'm hoping, anyways. One of the major issues is just like this update really crippled the Flux rifle, in my opinion. If I just look at its base stats, and 15, 15, 120, it's just not as good as it used to be. I mean, it always had problems with shields. I won't deny that. Right now, impact is the only advantage it has on shields. Puncture and slash aren't that good against shields. And you could always just slap an ice mod on there to make sure that you were able to do damage against shields. But right now, it just doesn't have that much advantage against armored targets, which it had a great advantage over them before, because all its damage would always be applied to their health no matter what. It's just my opinion, but it's a direct nerf to a couple of weapons that rely on serrated blade damage and other things to remain competitive. For instance, my dual ether was serrated blade damage. 4.5 impact, 4.5 puncture, and 21 slash. It's a direct nerf. That's what I'm seeing here. I mean, 30 damage, it's the same as it used to be, but because of serrated blade damage, it always did 100% of that 30 to armor. Now it doesn't. Slash, it does not bypass armor, and while you can put mods on there to help it get through armor, it's still not as good as it was. It's a simplification, but in some ways it's a nerf as well. I'm not wholeheartedly behind it, but for the most part it does work. It's just that they changed a lot of things that people were used to, so well, we gotta wait and see to see if I can get those toxin mods and check them out. Hopefully they improve the overall feel of some of these weapons, and hopefully it fixes some of the things that were concerned before. Not that I had many concerns before. Everything worked how it was supposed to. Alright, that's the end of this video. No gameplay, unfortunately. The gameplay it's still repetitive as fuck, but I believe this should have been just a PSA kind of. I'm sure I'll put a link to the new damage stuff in the description. Hopefully that helps you figure out what builds you like and what you want to use. So this has been Demonocalypse. I thank you for watching. Have a good day.